Hi, my name is Gwen Sandifer, and today I'd like to review an article entitled When Women Leaders Leave, the Losses Multiply. Many of you know that I've posted about women in the workforce previously, and so this article caught my eye from Harvard Business Review. Here it is in March of 2022. And in reading through the article, the highlights were that truly women leaders leaving an organization researched across the world in thousands of companies does show loss of engagement of the staff and reduction in productivity. So they're equating better job performance and saving companies millions of dollars with women as leaders. And yet we know there's a shortage of talent, more than 15 years that we're experiencing given the pandemic. We recognize that we're back to 1980s levels of women in the workforce. And so this obviously is a real concern. The research shows there are two qualities that are correlated to effective leadership and business results. And the two are wisdom and compassion. Wisdom is defined as the courage to do what needs to be done, even when it's difficult. And compassion is the care and empathy shown toward others with the intention to support and help. And then they go on to say that it's even more effective when the two are combined. So in fact, it's 80% higher effectiveness when a leader is both wise and showing compassion today. And this creates a significant leaning toward women being those effective leaders, everything from general support to avoiding burnout of the team. These are key business concerns across the span of an organization, anywhere from engagement to true business results and job performance. And then they correlate that it's actually the worst case situation for men to report to men, and the best case situation for men and women to report to women based on this research. This is different than some of the other research we've seen in the past. We have seen for years research showing that there's a bias against women leaders by both men and women for various reasons. Some of that because women are known to be more the caregivers, the nourishers in a community culturally, whereas men culturally are known to be the leaders, known to be the strong ones. And so this is a real shift in what we're seeing in the research. So if we take it at face value, it's asking us to really look at those women and leaders and look at it not from just a general gender equity perspective, but from a business results perspective. Then they go on to say that currently white men occupy 62% of C-suite roles, and the pandemic has widened the gender gap to the point where it will now take 135.6 years to close it. So their key takeaways are a few. Continue to work on flexible work arrangements and childcare. Consider peer coaching and advisory councils in your organizations. And then they do comment that compassion can be learned, and we can all learn and unlearn to lead with more compassion. So I've let that settle in and have reflected from a coaching perspective. What are my questions? What are my questions of this research? What are my questions for all of you as leaders and executives? And again, if you've been with me in the past, you know that I absolutely do believe that our composition of leaders and executives should mirror the communities we serve and our customers or consumers, those we serve, however you want to define that. And so by very nature, women should comprise 50% of leadership and executive teams, or up to 80%, depending on those various components. And yet I would ask each of you, have you looked at your teams? Have you looked at your organizations? Have you looked at who you serve and your customers? Have you looked at your leadership profiles? And in your organization, is there truly a statistically significant difference in outcomes, whether it's engagement or business outcomes, for men and women in your organization or on your team? And if yes, do you know what's driving that? Have you asked? Is it wisdom and compassion? Is it something else? I will also say that many clients, both male and female that I work with, would frankly recoil from that word compassion. It might be too emotional. It might be too touchy-feely. It's a really strong word. And so I don't want anyone to read this article and think that we need to wait over 130 years to groom women to take on these leadership roles again. And none of us have time to wait. Our businesses don't have time to wait. Our economy doesn't have time to wait. Our communities don't have time to wait. We need this expert leadership now more than ever before. And I don't want to let anyone off the hook if they may not believe they can move into that compassion realm, whether male or female. I don't want anyone to think, let me give. I might not be able to be a good leader, or just give up and not even try to change their leadership style at all to meet today's need. And so another comment that the authors made is that it's really important to do hard things in a human way. And so let's focus on a human way for a moment. If you can't go to compassion, can you at least consider how you can relate to others better and differently? How you can think about how you can relate to them from a more personal style, have something in common with them, and make that commentary, make that known that you too can relate in some way to them and their situation. Can you think about a relationship in terms of authenticity? If it's a hard situation, if it's a chaotic situation or a crisis like a pandemic or the aftermath of this pandemic, can you at least be authentic? And when questions or situations come up that you're not quite sure if you have the answers to, or your organization has the answers to, can you say, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. What are your thoughts? Can you also, or instead, at least consider respect? And sometimes the best show of respect for another is simply to listen. Truly just to give a few moments of your listening ear. Not necessarily to solve the problem, certainly not to commiserate or try to rescue them, but just to offer them your ear as a sign of respect for them. And then possibly, even better, to show some trust. And when issues are raised and you're not quite sure how to answer them, and you've listened a little bit, say something like, you know what, you're the expert in this area, and I'll trust whatever you come up with. And if that trust is, I trust that you can work from home. I trust that you can job share with someone else very effectively. I trust that we can try this for 30 days. Let's see how it goes. Let's put a proposal together. All those things can go a very long way. And then as I was researching all of this for you, I did re-find this book called Compassionomics from 2019, which does say it's the revolutionary scientific evidence that caring makes a difference. And so I'd like to review this with you in a future session, though much of this relates to healthcare. I think certainly we could all learn more from Compassionomics to see how it can affect us as all leaders as well. I look forward to your input.